So Arsenal won, Brighton nil. I'm so glad to see that we managed to actually get a win against Brighton, and an away win, which is something that we have always struggled with in our away games. But for us to go out and perform against a team that we haven't beaten since 1981. Now, to be fair, we've only ever played them 5 times before then, but in recent seasons we've lost to them twice and drawn 3 times. So as far as I'm concerned, this is a really good win. Now, the performance overall was a bit up and down, and the reason why I say it's that is one, partly to do with Brighton, but also to do with the team that was kind of put forward. Now, I expected an exact replica of the team that played against Chelsea, but what changed was that Lacazette was on the bench and Aubameyang started. Now, for me, I wasn't down with that. For me, I felt that Lacazette was a core part of the reason why we did well in that game. So that's the guy that you don't bench. You shouldn't be benching Lacazette, as far as I'm concerned. If you're gonna bench, bench someone that's not exactly a core part of the team. And when I mean core, I mean that they have fundamental skills that make the team tick. Lacazette is someone who holds the ball up and brings in other players in play. He also is a supplement in terms of he supplements the press going forward. Martinelli leads it, then Emile Smith Rowe, then Saka, and then Lacazette also supplements that as well with trying to press. That's what makes that 4 really, really good. The midfield, the central midfield with Xhaka and Elneny, that's the part for me that needs the upgrade. But we know when Thomas Partey comes back, to be really honest, and someone that I've been calling out for a while, Maitland-Niles, or even if not Maitland-Niles, then you could even put a Willock in there as well. You can put a Ceballos in there. You can keep an Elneny in there. I'm not a fan of Xhaka, and I don't feel that he offers that much in terms of wide range, and that's why he's someone that's replaceable. But Lacazette, Laka is not. He's become a bit of a core player within this way that we're playing in this 4-2-3-1. So you shouldn't bench Laka, but he benches him, and Aubameyang plays, and you would think that our captain, would perform out there and give a captain's performance, and he was absolutely just terrible all game. And I already knew the reason why. I already knew that it was because the reason why Martinelli suffered was because he was in that team. Because a lot of positions that allowed Martinelli to be able to work well, Aubameyang was occupying those positions. So that meant that because of the staticness from Aubameyang, that meant that Martinelli had to be static as well. But when you have that kind of ebony flow and everything is going and circulating really well, it didn't matter whether Martinelli was on the right. Like at that Chelsea game, everything flowed perfectly. And that's what I want to get back into. It's great that we got the 3 points. But again, I start to look at the performance overall, and the performance needed something extra. This is why when it did not surprise me that the link between Saka and Lacazette and Smith Rowe was the key in towards Arsenal getting a goal. And it doesn't surprise me. So that tells me, unless Saka, Emile Smith Rowe, Martinelli or Lacazette is injured, we should be playing these guys all the time. That team that started against Chelsea, that should be the starting 11. Like I said, the only ones that we should really be changing out of that at the moment is the midfield. The midfield is the only part that needs an upgrade, and that's because you haven't really got a core in there. If you establish a core, then you could start to do more things with maybe the players that are in front within that front 3. But as of yet, not yet. Not until Thomas Partey comes back, in my opinion, can you really start fiddling with how that front 3-4 players work, as well as who also plays with Thomas Partey in that midfield. You're going to need somebody there who has legs, and it probably has to be, for me, either Maitland-Niles or Willock within that midfield. You're going to need to have some energy in there as well. Like, you cannot You can't play on Nene. Well, you can, but that's unless you want to really shut up shop. But overall, the game, we got the goal. That's all we wanted. It's 3 points. We're up to 20 points now. We're slowly rising up the league. And right now, we're coming up towards halfway in the season. 16 games played. Once we get to 19 games played, if we win the next 3 games, that's 9 points. 29 points halfway the season. It isn't great, but it puts us in the position whereby we could start to really analyze and look at where Arsenal can potentially finish at the end of the season. And potentially it looks like we're probably going to finish around 60 points. Looks to be the mark. And I would say that that's around a 6th, 7th place finish, which is a little bit lower than what I thought we would finish at the beginning of the season, which was 5th. But still, it doesn't look like we're going to be getting relegated, which is exactly how we want that situation to be. Also, I got to talk about Emile Smith Rowe. I think that, for me, again, he is a core part of the new Arsenal machine. He was fantastic in today's game. He has shown, not just myself, but everyone, that this is how a number 10 should be. Not a number 10 like an Ozil, who could just play as a number 10 really well. I mean, Smith Rowe, whether he was going out wide, right, wide left, he was able to do it all. I mean, Smith Rowe could even play in central midfield, as we saw at Huddersfield last season. Like, he can do it all. Like, that's why you have someone like Smith Rowe. Now, I get it, Arteta probably doesn't want to rely on the youngsters so much, because it does create a dilemma. With all these senior players on big wages, when the kids are outperforming them, when the kids are preferred against them, what does this mean for the likes of Willian? What does this mean for the likes of Pepe, who are on, these guys are on big money, and they're not being able to get into the side just because they're not playing well? I think part of that is also to do with the fact that they do not have the right skills to be able to meet what Arteta is trying to accomplish. I think that's the part that you need to ask yourself. And they haven't. I believe some of them need to be sold, but I don't think all of them will be sold as of yet. But what we have seen right now, great performance. Fantastic performance. Particularly from Saka and Emile Smith Rowe. Martinelli didn't really have a great game. Obviously, like I said, had a good game, scored the goal. El Nene and Xhaka, they were alright, but again, like I said, those 2 players can do with an upgrade on. I thought Tierney and Bellerin were good in this game. Tierney kind of tailing off in the second half of the season. I thought Mari had an improved game. I thought Holden had a decent game as well. And I think Leno had a decent game as well. I can't put really nothing at fault for Leno. Some of the things I felt that he could have done better on in terms of controlling the ball. But overall, commanded his area really well. Had a couple decent saves. But my thing is this, and it's the most important part, so do listen. It's all about consistency when it comes to this Arsenal side. Consistency with Arteta. Who are you going to pick every single week? I get his dilemma that there's going to be lots of senior players there that are unhappy, but those senior players aren't performing, so you don't play them. I'm sorry, you just don't. You pick the team that works. We found the formula that works. Don't change it unless you have to. That's my thing. I just hope that Mikel Arteta decides to continue on this path, doesn't change the core parts of the team, and the core parts are Martinelli, Saka and Emile Smith Rowe and Lacazette up top. That was always the issue in terms of our scoring goals. In terms of defence, well, we all know that Tierney is, for me, he's the core. But everybody else, Holden, I mean, I think Holden's good, but is he a core? Debatable. There's David Luiz who's there. Mari, good player, but you've got Gabriel's there who's to come back after his COVID contraction. And then you got Bellerin, who I think he's a very good player, but You also got Maitland-Niles there who can play at right wing back. You got Callum Chambers who can play there at right back. You got Cedric Soares who can play there at right back as well. So we are pretty much well stocked. So I wouldn't say there's any core players in that defense apart from Tierney, but we got some very good ones. But we got the game against West Brom on Saturday. West Brom got absolutely pumped tonight against Leeds. We can go and deliver them a crucial blow to their season, really send them back to the Championship along with Kieran Gibbs in an absolute mess. All we have to do is look at this game, look at the game against Chelsea, and remember to be consistent. If we're consistent, I'm sure we are going to win. And against the game in West Brom, and I hope, and I do think that Mikel Arteta will be consistent, I'm going to go with a 3-1 victory in that game against West Brom on Saturday with virtually the same starting 11. I really do think it'll be like that. So let me know your thoughts on the game on Saturday against West Brom. What do you think on how that game is going to go? Also, what do you think about the game tonight against, well, last night as you will probably be viewing this, against Brighton? What are your thoughts on that? Leave your comments below. Continue to subscribe to the channel. Hit the like button. That does help the channel out as well. And I will see you all next time. Peace.